This is the John Brown Alliance, where we don't fear, we fight. Have you ever made a promise to someone and you broke it? Even if it was not intentional. I have, and I'm sure many of you have, and it's not a good feeling. I'm going to try and make this as short as I possibly can. If you have ever been in a church, run for public office, been married, christened a child, or done anything in your life that requires some type of commitment and promise to an individual and the people that are witnessing this event, you really need to take a few days off and assess right at this moment what you are doing and why. For me, I think I may have one person that listens to these segments every night, and I think I know who he is. However, that being said, I do think that a lot of people are out here doing things because it sounds great on YouTube. They're barking orders instead of listening a lot, and giving a lot of unsolicited advice, not based on prior track record in a movement like this, or experience for that matter. And I want you to rewind what I just said. A lot of people are saying a lot of things on Facebook not based on prior experience or knowledge about how a movement works. Instead, they're barking orders based on no knowledge about how a successful movement happens. Now, I want to say a couple things about this Epstein stuff, and I'm going to put it at rest because I'm really tired of hearing it myself. I knew from the get-go what was going to happen with this whole situation. Just like anything that has anything to do with Donald Trump, you're going to get a bunch of Magas up in arms and all this kind of stuff, and they're going to do absolutely nothing except fall in line. At the end of the day, there's no bombshell, no blockbuster, no this is going to end him on Epstein, no nothing. Because what they're talking about right now is a pardon. And if you put yourself in the position of this Maxwell woman and you're in jail, what are you going to do? You're going to say whatever the fuck you have to say to get out. So let's be real. Stop with the clickbait, because it's getting old. And I was to the point where I listened to two what I called relative podcasts in my life today, because it was just so much of this Epstein shit. And it's totally going nowhere. If you're a realist like me, and you study history, and you know how authoritarianism and white supremacy works, you know better. When you know better, you have an obligation to do and say better. And that is my obligation to you with these podcasts. Not trying to get clickbait or subscribers, or I would like some, but that's not the point. The point is, if one person hears what I'm saying right now and goes out and says the same thing to 10 people who say the same thing to 10 people, that's more valuable to me than clickbait or having a bunch of subscribers. Because I know that if I have 1,000 subscribers in 24 hours, it's going to be people doing nothing but surfing the internet, and that's all they do all day. That's not all I do all day. I do a lot of things all day. You have no idea. To the point where at this moment where I'm sitting right here, I have exactly 1 hour before I have to wake up and do my day all over again. I am civil rights to the core. From the day I wake up, the moment I wake up, to the moment I go to sleep. It's not a hobby. It's not something I do to market an item. It's none of that. It is who I am. It is not about Trump in America or the civil rights movement or black people versus Latinos or anything else. When I see something, I call it out for what it is. And I have already been attacked on the internet by people claiming that Native Americans, all Native Americans, was the blanket statement by a black individual, as a matter of fact, that all Native Americans owned slaves. That's absolute bullshit. Crack open a fucking book. Now you can keep sending me this shit online saying it's absolutely the truth, but you know what? If you can't prove it, and that's what my history teacher taught me in high school, maybe you should learn something and read. If you cannot prove it, then it means nothing to me. Now it might mean something to these other idiots out here engaging in the conversation because they have nothing better to do on a Saturday night, but it means nothing to me. It has no impact on what I'm about to do. Because what you are is a sucker and a loser and uneducated. And one day, maybe 30, 40, 50 years from now, when our grandchildren surf the internet and see these conversations, which they probably will be able to do, they're going to see what a fucking idiot you are. That's what they're going to see. So what I want to do in closing, because I want to make this short about this whole Epstein thing. I remember when Donald Trump got on stage and talked about how the Mexicans weren't sending their best. They're sending their drugs. They're sending their gangs. They're sending their murderers and their rapists. Let me ask you a question. While all these people are being disappeared in the United States and sent God knows where, and there are too many right now, there are over 200,000 by last count of people that have been moved around the United States, arrested, snatched out of courts and overseas, all this kind of stuff. But that's not reported by MSNBC and CNN. They're too worried about this Epstein bullshit. Somebody that looks like me worries about getting snatched. I have a brother right now that looks like he just walked out of El Salvador, but he's not at all El Salvadorian. I won't say he's not Spanish from way back when, I don't know, 200-300 years ago, but he carries the traits of somebody that might have just come into the United States. When they say that the Mexicans weren't bringing their best or sending their best, we have, right now, in charge of our United States government, drug dealers, rapists, and systematic state-sanctioned murderers. But right now, they have an army. That wasn't the case when they were talking about, a few people crossing the border and coming into America. They have organized an army over the past 4 years to carry out the same exact things they accused immigrants of doing. They're doing right now. And if you don't think they're going to do them to you, when they run out of people to persecute, you're next. If you don't believe that, you're a damn fool. Now, as a person who has endured people like an Epstein in my life, yes, me, I find it abhorrent, anti-American, and absolutely satanic that you can consider releasing the architect of Epstein's sexual crimes and a decades-long human trafficking organization. You can release the individual that was in charge of that on the American population. Now, if you are white and you are a Maga, and this is okay with you, if you are black and you are an elected official and you do not do everything you can to stand up for this, when your child becomes a victim of someone just like that, I have absolutely no sympathy for you, because it happened to me. So the definition of insanity is repeating the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different result. Just because you let white rapists like Thomas Jefferson roam the streets, and white rapists like people who during the Jim Crow era took advantage of black women. Just because you let, Emmett Till get lynched and the people run the streets, doesn't mean that these people are not coming after you eventually. Maybe generations later, but they will. And they will come after your children. Because rapists and murderers do things not because they want sex. They do it for control. And this is exactly what Donald Trump is doing by releasing this woman. Not only that, all these MAGA women up in there enslaving people and sending them off to concentration camps. And yes, I said enslave. I said enslave. These people that are being kidnapped. They're doing to you exactly what they intend. This is not a joke. This is no longer, something for us to keep sitting here discussing. It's no longer that. What you're witnessing right now is just not autocracy, and we need to get off this term of simple autocracy. It's not that. It's that for white people. For the rest of us, this is what your life is going to look like. You're going to have to fear every single day you walk out of the house that either your neighbor or your sister or your brother is going to be snatched up because they look too black, or they look too red, or they look too brown, or they're married to somebody who does and they stand up for them. But you know what I'm not going to do? I'm not going to sit and wait for you to organize a protest in a certain place. I'm going to do what I have to do, what I know generationally, and through my personal experience to protect people in this moment that I care about. I don't need anybody telling me how to do this. This is who I am, not something I need to learn. And that's the difference between many of us and many of you. This is the John Brown Alliance. That's all I got for right now. Over and out.